What really happened inside that silent hospital room before the world was told he was gone? Why were the doctors so desperate to erase every trace of that night? Whispers of fear, missing reports, and one haunting image that refuses to fade. Tonight, Red Carpet Revealed takes you beyond the curtain, into the truth they never wanted you to see. The hallway smelled of antiseptic and rain. Outside, the storm had already begun. But inside the hospital, a different kind of silence reigned, one too deliberate, too careful. A silence that wasn't peace, but fear. Somewhere behind those sealed doors, Menglong's heart had stopped. Or at least, that's what they wanted the world to believe. 11:46 p.m., a nurse on night duty was the first to notice the irregular pattern on the monitor. The pulse rose, fell, then flatlined. She pressed the emergency button 3 times before anyone came. When they finally did, it wasn't with urgency, but with calm, a calm that chilled her to the bone. They didn't rush, she would later whisper to us. They just looked at him, then at each other, as if they already knew. Within minutes, the corridor was locked down. The doctor in charge, an unfamiliar man in a black coat, not the attending physician, told the staff to clear the floor. Cameras were switched off. Charts disappeared. And a name that once shone across billboards and television screens was reduced to a single line on a restricted file, Patient 47A. Status, expired. But this isn't the story the world was given. The world was told he died peacefully, surrounded by care. That exhaustion had taken him quietly in his sleep. The truth, however, from peaceful. Red Carpet Revealed has spent months piecing together what really happened inside that white-walled room. Leaked memos, deleted recordings, and whispers from those who were there paint a picture that is far more horrifying than any official statement. A story not of a man dying, but of a system making sure his death looked a certain way. The first anomaly appeared in the admittance report. Menglong had checked into the hospital on a quiet Tuesday night, escorted not by family, but by 2 representatives from his management agency. He wasn't well, said one nurse. But it wasn't physical. He kept saying, "They're watching me." His vitals were strong, yet his eyes darted like someone trapped in an invisible maze. Doctors prescribed sedatives, recorded severe anxiety, recommended rest. What followed was anything but rest. For the next 48 hours, he was kept in a private ward normally reserved for political figures and foreign dignitaries. Surveillance cameras in the hallway were switched off for technical maintenance. Visitors were forbidden, including his parents. Only a select group of 3 doctors had clearance to enter. That's not normal, a hospital insider told us. Even for VIPs, you always have logs. There were no logs for him. By the second night, staff began whispering. One janitor recalled seeing shadows moving behind the frosted glass long after visiting hours. It wasn't one person, he said. There were at least 2 voices. One calm, one pleading. In a hospital where routine is religion. About Menglong's stay was routine. On the 3rd day, a nurse found him trembling in bed. He said he couldn't sleep because the lights in the ceiling kept blinking, she told us. But the lights weren't blinking. They were steady. Offered him water. He refused. Then, quietly, he said something that would later haunt her. "They told me I'll be gone before morning." At 11:40 p.m., his pulse monitor began to spike wildly. Not the slow fade of cardiac arrest, but the sharp erratic rhythm of panic. "He wasn't unconscious," said the nurse. "He was awake. He looked right at me and whispered, 'Don't let them close my eyes.'" Moments later, 3 men in coats entered the room and ordered her to leave. She never saw him alive again. The official record shows the time of death as 11:52 p.m. the same minute. The power on that floor went out for exactly 34 seconds. No generator failure. No storm damage. Just darkness. And when the lights came back on, the body on the bed was still warm. We've seen the maintenance logs. The power cut wasn't caused by weather, it was manual. Someone flipped a breaker. And someone turned it back on only after the incident was complete. The next morning, the hospital director arrived personally. Witnesses recall his expression, pale, anxious, but determined. He ordered immediate sterilization of the room, restricted staff access, and demanded that no record of this case is to be made public. Within hours, Menglong's name vanished from the hospital registry. Only a coded file remained, tagged confidential. Class B. One of the night nurses tried to take a photo of the record with her phone. The next day, her employment was terminated for breach of confidentiality. She left the city within a week. We tracked her down, months later. She refused to show the image but described it in vivid detail. It wasn't just a record, she said. It was a second entry added after the death, same ID number. Different handwriting. Someone edited his status after the fact. Why? To correct an error? Or to rewrite history? By the time the world heard of his passing, the machinery of silence was already in motion. Agencies received pre-written statements. Fans flooded the internet with disbelief and sorrow. Natural causes. The agency repeated. Due to overwork and exhaustion. Yet even those close to him doubted the narrative. He was tired, yes. One producer told us. But he was planning a new project. He was full of ideas. He even called me that morning. That call ended abruptly. The line cut out mid-sentence. His last recorded words were, "They said the truth is dangerous." Inside the hospital, the cover-up deepened. Waste from his room was destroyed without logging. His personal belongings were sealed in a box marked biohazard. When his parents arrived, they were handed a single item, his phone, wiped clean. There wasn't even a SIM card. His mother later said, "Just an empty shell." But secrets have a way of leaking. Like blood through bandages. 3 weeks later, an anonymous file appeared on an encrypted forum. Its title, Operation 47A, Terminal Notes. Within it were fragments of internal hospital memos, patient monitor screenshots, and a voice log transcript from the night of his death. Line stood out. Patient showing signs of revival. With directive. Revival. Directive. Two words that shouldn't coexist. A senior nurse we interviewed off-record confirmed that in medical terms, revival refers to spontaneous cardiac return, an irregular, rare phenomenon. If that happened, call demands resuscitation, she said. No doctor can ignore that. Unless they were told not to. Directive could override life itself. The deeper red carpet revealed Doug. The more the pieces aligned, not into tragedy, but a decision. There were chemical irregularities in his blood work. Explained sedatives unlisted in hospital supply chains. Trail of digital deletion leading back to the agency's legal division. Someone had rewritten reality. There were those who refused to stay silent. One of them was a paramedic named Wei. He had been part of the emergency team that first admitted Menglong. When he read the news of the star's peaceful death, he couldn't sleep. He wasn't dead when we left him, he said. He was weak, but breathing. They told us not to return. Wei's statement aligned with another leak, a time-stamped log showing the first declaration of death occurred before the medical report was even finalized. The time gap, 9 minutes. Minutes where Menglong might have still been alive. 9 minutes erased from history. Those who were there still carry that weight. Remember the sound, said the nurse. Tears welling in her eyes. It wasn't a flatline. It was a gasp. His body was fighting to stay. A gasp that was never recorded. At dawn, the agency's representatives arrived to collect the paperwork. They took everything, files, records, data drives. Even the hospital director's personal copy of the logbook. When questioned, he shrugged. Confidential, he said. End of discussion. The staff were ordered to sign non-disclosure agreements under threat of prosecution. Some refused and disappeared, others complied. Haunted by what they saw. One cleaner recalled finding something strange in the biohazard disposal, a broken syringe with a residue that smelled metallic. It wasn't any medication we use, she said. It smelled like burnt wires. Reported it to her supervisor. The next day, the syringe was gone. Outside the hospital. City continued as always. Billboards still flashed his smile. Streaming platforms replayed his songs. The illusion of life persisted, even as the truth decayed beneath it. But among the staff who knew, the silence was suffocating. They gathered in whispers, exchanging fragments of memory like contraband. He tried to speak, one would say. Lifted his hand, another recalled. But none dared say what they all feared, that Menglong didn't die naturally, that he might not have died when they said he did. And still, there were signs, subtle, impossible signs, that something lingered. After the incident, one technician inspecting the room reported hearing faint beeping from the disconnected monitor. It was his heartbeat pattern, he claimed. The same irregular rhythm. I memorized it. I heard it again the next night. From an empty room. Red carpet revealed obtained the room's maintenance records. We found a chilling note scribbled in pen beside the signature line, "Don't turn off the lights. He's still here." It could have been a joke. Or a confession. Later, the body was released to his family under heavy supervision. They weren't allowed to open the casket. When they asked why, the mortuary director simply said, "The body was prepared according to health regulations." No explanation. No farewell. Rumors spread online about what the staff saw before sealing the casket. "He looked different." One anonymous commenter wrote. "Not like himself. He'd aged 10 years overnight." The comment was deleted in less than an hour. At this point, we no longer asked you if something was being hidden. The question was how much? There was one last detail that turned suspicion into certainty: a hospital ID badge left behind in the stairwell. It belonged to a doctor who wasn't on the roster that night. A face we'd never seen. With credentials leading to a non-existent department. The name on the badge, Dr. Lin R. We tried to trace him. There was no Dr. Lin R in the entire medical database. But the photo, blurry, showed a man we later matched to another leaked image from the crematorium. Standing behind the stretcher. Same eyes. The same hands. The same ghost in two places. The end of our first investigation. One truth was undeniable: Menglong didn't die quietly. And he didn't die alone. Someone was there, guiding the end. Death into spectacle. Tragedy into control. As we close part 1, the final word belongs to the nurse who first pressed that alarm. Her voice, tired but steady, carries the weight of what she can never unsee. "They told us it was cardiac failure," she said. "But when I touched his wrist, I felt a pulse. A weak one. Then the power went out." She looks down, voice breaking. Lights came back on, his pulse was gone. So was the truth. She paused, staring into the distance. They didn't just kill the man. They killed the story. And maybe, just maybe, what they feared most. In Red Carpet Revealed follows the leak of the Operation 47A memo, the document that exposes the doctor's orders. The agency's involvement. Final moments they tried to erase from history. The question remains, if Menglong's body was truly lifeless that night, why did someone need to turn off the lights? Morning came like an apology that arrived too late. Clung to the hospital windows, tracing long gray veins across the glass. Then, the statement had already gone out, the star was gone. The case was closed. Truth has a habit of surviving in the smallest of places: a forgotten file, a trembling voice. Name scrawled in ink that refuses to fade. The first crack in the story appeared when a janitor found a folder in the basement incinerator room. The folder was half burned, its corner still smoldering. On the cover, the words Operation 47A, Terminal Directive. Inside were fragments of medical forms. Drugs that didn't exist in hospital inventory. One chilling note written by hand: patient exhibiting post-termination reflex. Proceed with suppression. Phrase, post-termination reflex, should exist. Doctors use reflex to describe a body that moves after death, a muscle memory, nothing more. Suppression implied intent. Someone was trying to stop something from being seen. Red Carpet Revealed tracked down the janitor. He spoke softly, glancing at the floor as if the tiles could betray him. "I should have opened it," he said. "When I touched the paper, I smelled iron, like blood and electricity." Looked up. They said if anyone asked, it was just trash. But it wasn't trash. The confession. 2 days later, he vanished. Then, the internet had started to move again. It's tagged Operation 47A multiplied before being deleted in waves. Someone uploaded a 10-second video, a corridor. Sound of footsteps, a light flicker. And then a voice: "He's still breathing." The clip spread faster than the agency could erase it. Each repost came with a warning: download before it disappears. The world began to fracture into two sides: those who believed the official line, and those who believed the nightmare. Within that chaos, an email reached Red Carpet Revealed's inbox. No subject, no sender. Only a file named Truth Before Ashes MP4. When opened, the screen stayed black for 6 seconds. Then a hospital clock appeared. The time: 11:55 p.m. Shadow moved in front of the camera. A voice whispered, "Doctor, he's responsive." Another voice answered. "Calm and cold, then increase the dosage." Image blurred, but a faint heartbeat monitor pulsed in the background, 3 slow beats. A pause, then flatline. Clip ended with a static hiss that sounded almost like breathing. The file metadata placed the recording exactly 3 minutes after the declared time of death. That was the moment the story changed. Tragedy to cover up. From rumor to evidence. Red Carpet Revealed reached out to a source inside the hospital's legal department, a woman known only as R. Her message arrived in fragments. Through encrypted channels. They were told to finalize death before confirmation. Orders came from above. Medicine, management. When asked why, she replied with 2 words, image preservation. It was no longer about health. It was about control, a desperate attempt to protect the illusion of perfection that fame demands. The human being beneath the spotlight had become an inconvenience. The weeks that followed. More leaks surfaced. A procurement form for a sedative banned 5 years ago. An audio file of a doctor weeping, muttering. He opened his eyes. And finally, a digital log showing the cremation order filed 4 hours before the death certificate was signed. The implication was clear, the end had been scheduled in advance. The agency fought back. Lawyers sent warnings. Outlets received polite threats wrapped in corporate smiles. "We must protect his dignity," they said. Whose dignity were they really protecting, theirs, or his? Meanwhile, the people refused to forget. Light vigil spread from city to city. Fans held photos, played his songs, and whispered. Still listening. A mural appeared overnight near the hospital gate, a painting of his face half lit by flame, half shrouded in smoke. Someone had scrawled beneath it, "Truth does not cremate." That morning, a nurse slipped an envelope under our door. Inside was a single page torn from the patient chart. It read, "Subject 47A. Status, reactive after final sedation." Active repeated, "Silence. Silence." The same word carved across the entire story. And yet, even silence can scream if you listen long enough. Through weeks of interviews, documents emerged that no deletion order could erase. Security guard remembered seeing the elevator lights flicker at 11:50 p.m. A cleaner heard a faint cry. One intern swore he saw the heart monitor blink back to life. Tiny, human memories, pieces of a ghost refusing to stay buried. Then came the final blow, an audio recording from the hospital morgue. Captured accidentally on a worker's phone. Trays clinking. Papers rustling. Voice, unmistakably the same calm tone from the earlier video, saying, "Seal it now. Don't let anyone check." Another voice hesitated. "But sir, there's movement." Silence. Then footsteps retreating, a door slamming. Sound of metal sliding shut. The file cut off there, but it was enough. Enough to prove that something was very wrong with the night the world said goodbye. By the time the leak reached global media, the hospital had already issued a statement denying everything. But denial, like smoke, only thickens when there's fire underneath. Carpet Revealed compiled the fragments, the memos, the footage, the voices, into one coherent timeline. At its heart lay a single question that no authority dared answer. Was a living man declared dead? The answer, as one insider finally confessed, was as cold as it was simple. He wanted to walk away. They couldn't let him. The doctors had become the final guardians of an image worth millions. Protect that image. They crossed the line that separates medicine from manipulation. And the world demanded proof. They hid behind protocol in silence. But ghosts don't obey contracts. Following month, a package arrived at Red Carpet Revealed headquarters. No return address. Only a USB drive inside a box of white lilies. The drive was a single audio clip, a voice, soft but clear, recorded days before everything collapsed. They say I'm gone. Tell them I was awake. Tell them I wanted to see the sunrise again. It was his voice. The timbre, the pauses. Quiet strength unmistakable. Not a goodbye, a plea. That recording aired at midnight. For 30 seconds, the world fell silent. Then, across social media, the phrase spread like fire, "He was awake." Fans left thousands of comments. They can't erase him. Doctors don't decide truth. The fire only burns lies. Within hours, the agency's official channels went dark. Hospital spokespeople resigned. The director vanished abroad. But the damage was done. Illusion had shattered. And somewhere in that ruin, truth breathed again. Months later, the hospital ward was reopened for renovation. Painters covered the walls in fresh white. But when they stripped away the old paint, they found words scratched into the plaster near the bed frame, tiny, desperate letters etched by something sharp. Only 4 words, trembling but defiant. Still here. Whether it was written by him, by conscience itself, no one can say. But it was enough to freeze every brush in midair. In the end, the story was never about death. It was about the price of silence, the cost of pretending perfection is worth a heartbeat. The doctors may have tried to hide it. Papers may have burned. The machines may have been switched off. But truth does not die, it waits. Somewhere beyond the walls of that quiet hospital. And the whispers and the smoke. A heartbeat continues, not in flesh, but in memory. Because some lights refuse to go out. Some songs keep playing after the final note. And some names, once spoken with love, echo forever. Red carpet revealed. The truth remains, even after the fire.